All right, today we're going to show you how to create a marketing channel performance dashboard using data from Hubspot and Salesforce, and we'll combine them in order to make this report. So you can import your data from Salesforce and HubSpot using the Coefficient add-on. You can find it in Extensions, Add-ons, Get Add-ons in the Add-on Store if you search for Coefficient, and it is the first result. Once you have Coefficient, you can import your data, and then you can go ahead and make this report as we're going to show you in this video. So first we'll need to combine some data in order to generate our dashboard. So I've created some columns here with the data that we need to generate a report. So this first one actually is just going to come from column D. We're just going to standardize these dates by month so we can pivot it accordingly. So for this one, we're just going to do end of month and grab this date. And then to get to the first of the month, I'm actually going to rewind one. So this will get us the end of the prior month. And then I'm just going to add one to get the beginning of the current month. So now you can see that we get the first of the current month. Next, we need to determine if this deal closed. And so let's go ahead and use a VLOOKUP inside of if. And so let's use this deal ID. And then let's go over to our other tab. There's our deal ID. And here is our status in F. And so on our VLOOKUP, we need to get our index. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then false for exact match. And then we need to see if this is closed won. If it is, then let's go ahead and say yes. Otherwise, we'll leave it blank. So now that we have this one in here, let's go ahead and double click and pull that down. You can see now we have some yeses showing up. And for those closed amounts, so let's say if F3 is blank, let's just leave alone. Otherwise, let's look up our amount. So deal ID, and go over here again. And let's look at our expected amount. We're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to be column 8. And again, false for exact match. In this one, we don't have data next to it, so we are going to drag this down. And now you can see every yes, there's an amount there. And so let's go ahead and do the same for close date. Let's go ahead and copy this formula and pull it over here. And then we just need to count to see which column our close date is. And it's one more over. So let's go ahead and make sure we get J and 9. And then we can drag this down. All right, there is our close dates. So finally, let's just do the same thing that we did here. So let's go ahead and grab this formula here, copy it over here, and then make sure this only happens if H3 is not blank, and then autofill, and there we go. So now it's all the way down. So now that we have the data that we need aggregated over here, we can go ahead to our dashboard and begin to build this out. So the first thing we want to do is leads generated by channel. And so we're going to use a query to build this, as it's the simplest and fastest way to make this work. All right, so let's go ahead and open our query and grab our data set here. And we can go ahead and drop down a 3, and then let's go ahead and begin to build our query. So we want by deal source, so let's select C, and then we need the number of leads, so we can just do a count on, let's do count on C. And then let's do where C is not null, so it's only getting the valid entries. And then we're going to go ahead and group by C, because we want to combine them. And then to get this pivoted by the month, we want the months to go across the top. We're going to do pivot E. And then just to make this streamlined, we're going to go ahead and label our columns. So let's go ahead and label C, and then count C blank. And we're just leaving these blank to make it streamlined. So if we go back over here, you can see the results of our query. So there's those month starts, and then here are our numbers. So we can go ahead and format these. Maybe go ahead and center them, make them look nice. And then let's get a sum here of these. And then we can drag this across and go ahead and make these as well. And then let's go ahead and add a sparkline. And then let's just copy this, and then we're going to paste formula only so it doesn't mess up with our format. And then we can see our trend over time. Let's go ahead and add, this isn't very friendly, so let's go ahead and add a quick header to this. And this is our month and year. And go ahead and drag that over. And there we go, that looks nice. And let's go ahead and make a chart for this as well. Let's go ahead and insert chart. And let's do a stacked area chart here. That looks decent. Go ahead and switch it though, so we're pivoting by month. And then it looks like it's not recognizing that column header, so let's just toggle that. And I don't really want this in there, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. We're about there, so let's go ahead and just close this out. Let's go ahead and get rid of this and this. And maybe do a quick background here. And let's just go ahead and drag it over here and make it fit our space. Nice quick chart. So let's go ahead and go down to our next metric, which is conversion rates by channel. And so let's go ahead and do query here and grab our data. And so for this one, we want conversions. So we want the total of closed divided by the total of all of the leads. And so let's go ahead and do select C, because we're going to do this by deal source again. And then we're going to do count F divided by count C, where C is not null. And then group by C and pivot E again. Let's go ahead and add our labels here. And then count F, count C. And there we go. Let's go ahead and drop this down to row 3 there. And there we go. There's our data. They're showing up in decimals. So let's go ahead and turn this to percentage. There we go. That's a lot nicer. Let's go ahead and pull an average here. And pull that across. We can do a spark line here as well. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing here. And let's go ahead and create our, well, let's pull these down real quick. And then let's create a chart. Let's just do the average on this one. And so here, so let's go ahead and switch rows and columns. Let's go ahead and change that. Looks like it dropped the last row there. So let's go ahead, remove this series. There's our average conversion rate. And let's go ahead and get rid of this. And then we can quickly do some data labels here. Maybe we change the color of this. There we go, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and make this a nice light background there. And then we can get rid of those. And then now let's just go ahead and fit this again into our space. All right, so there's our conversion rate. And finally, let's get our revenue. So let's open our query yet again. Go to our leads. Let's go ahead and just start with row 3 there. And in this case, we want C and then the sum of G, where C is not null, group by C, and then pivot I. And then let's do our labels here as well. Label C and sum G, and there we go. And now we have our totals there. Actually, let's do this where G is not null. There we go. Now we have the right results. And let's go ahead and form those dollar signs. And then we'll go ahead and round this. And then let's add our sum here. Drag this over. Go ahead and grab our headers and add our spark lines. And then let's go ahead and copy this down. And finally, let's add our chart. So we already have stacked column chart. Let's go ahead and switch this. And then we'll just adjust the formatting. Get rid of these real quick. And then let's go ahead and drop this in. Now we can actually go ahead and hide these rows if we like. And there we go. Now we have our complete report. combining our HubSpot and our Salesforce data to come up with leads generated, conversion rates, and our revenue by channel. And now let's go ahead and actually add one more thing. So let's open these back up. Let's say we want to add a filter by deal owner. And so we had the deal owner here, full name. So first of all, let's get it pulled over here. Deal owner. And let's go ahead and grab this formula here. And let's see which column we need. We need column 1, 2, 3. So let's grab 3 here. And actually we want this regardless, because we want this for leads as well. This doesn't want to copy down because it doesn't have any data next to it. So let's go ahead and drag that down. There we go. So now let's go ahead and see what it looks like to incorporate this over here. So let's go ahead and add a filter. And let's say deal owner. And then let's add a drop down here. And we can do drop down for a range. And then we can select our deal owners here. And make that go to the bottom. And then we can just leave it just like this. And now we have our drop down. So we just need to incorporate into our query. So what we can do really quickly here is just copy this query. And then we can say if B11 equals blank, then we'll do our normal query. Otherwise, we'll do a modified one. So I just copy that back. Control Enter, drop that down to a new line. And now we can just say where C is not null and J equals 2. And I'm going to break out of this string. So I use the single quotes because this is where you normally put in the data, by double quotes to be able to reference a cell. And so now I can reference this B11. So now if I close this out, looks like nothing changed. But if I select a deal owner, now you can see that the data is updating accordingly. So I'm going to make this a little wider, show the deal owner there. So now we can do the same thing down below. And so we can grab this. I'm just going to copy this and then do the same thing. And this was B11 blank. We'll do our normal. Otherwise, we'll add this where C is not null and J equals B11. And there we go on that one. Seems that drops it down quite a bit. And then finally on this one, we can do the same thing and finish this up. So now B11 equals null. Otherwise, we'll do our modified. G is not null and J equals there we go. See, this actually reduces quite a bit because it doesn't have the full range. So this one is showing error because we only have one piece of data. So we can modify this and just say if error. And if it's error, then it won't show. We can go ahead and paste that formula down as well. So there we go. We have all of our data points now. And so now you can see what it looks like to add a quick filter by deal owner. Or we can hide this row again. And now we have a marketing channel performance dashboard with a filter by deal owner. And if we want to see all the data, all we have to do is hit delete on that, and then all of our data shows back up again. All right, that's it for today. Hopefully that helps you to see how you can use Coefficient to link to your data sources and pull it in, and then this dashboard will automatically update as Coefficient pulls in the updated data.